president of Miller Probst, and my tax accountant for the last 17 years. Good morning, Doug. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, McGraw. Glad to be here.
All right. First, let's talk about his accountant from Florida, who, when the New York Times got a hold of him, he said, "Yup, that's my signature, and that's his tax returns." Is there any attorney-client privilege with an accountant and a client?
Well, yeah, there is a client privilege. We're not allowed to disclose data to outsiders. That's a big deal with emails now. McGraw, we have to make sure we send out information encrypted. We have our own professional liability rules that we got to keep things private. And actually, we remind our staff because, sometimes you get famous people come in your office, and part of the reason sometimes people choose accountants is that they want them to keep their mouth shut.
Yeah. But were you shocked that this accountant was so quick to verify these documents?
Yeah, normally he would have wanted to call his client. Maybe he did. Maybe he got Donald's permission to do so. We just don't know, McGraw.
Yeah, all right. Can you explain, Doug, what exactly Donald Trump did in 1995? What did we learn from this revelation?
McGraw, the whole idea is that last year, I looked up yesterday just some statistics on how many people claimed this net operating loss deduction last year, and it's like 1.2 million people last year, businesses. Sometimes businesses have losses, and the whole idea, and this has been around since 1918, so it's not a new concept. The whole idea was a little bit of fairness that, well, good Lord, if I started year one and made $200,000, but year two I lost $400,000, I'm net in the hole. So don't make me pay some tax till I get out of the hole. Banks ought to love this because, in a way, what I need to do is generate some income to pay the debt back off because normally I would have financed the loss. Trump didn't have that much cash hanging around. But McGraw would probably, and so that's what's happening. Number two, there's three things. Number two, real estate in our country does get favorable tax breaks. There's just no question about it. It has for years. I mean, even home ownership, people don't own homes complain that homeowners get special breaks. But commercial real estate folks get more breaks than the average bear. And Donald Trump's a real estate guy, so he's going to obviously fall into that. But the third thing is, what probably happened is back in the day, a lot of real estate partnerships had S corporations as the general partner, and that was probably what Trump did. There was a weird glitch back then, McGraw, that because a lot of this debt probably got canceled. Well, that's income. And it normally would have reduced his net operating loss. But because he floated through an S corp, there was a way that he didn't have to pick up income and yet got the basis. And the court case was called Gitlitz. They've closed that loophole down since then. But he probably, and maybe even luckily, I don't know that he planned this. I don't think he's that smart. But he got lucky, and all those clients that taken advantage of that break is gone.
Yeah. So are you saying, is that when they talk about the pass-through? Because his company had the losses, but he took the losses on his personal income tax.
Yeah, a lot of corporations. There's S corporations, and they don't pay tax, McGraw. All of that flows through to the individuals. And there's way more S corporations now in this country than what I call C corporations. And C corporations, they're their own taxpayer. But this loss passed through his S corp to his personal return.
So they keep saying 18 years. He didn't pay taxes for 18 years. He possibly couldn't pay taxes for 18 years. I've read that story 19 different times. I don't see where they're saying he could have kept this up for 18 years.
Well, what they don't know, and we don't know, right? That's
right.
The challenge. You get to carry the loss. Back in the day, he got to carry the loss back several years and forward 15, and then there was the intervening year, which was 18. Now you get to carry the losses forward 20. Well, they're assuming he didn't use that loss up, and when you get debt canceled, so he's a good negotiator. He probably got in there like a lot of people, even after 2008, they didn't pay the debt back. They got the debt wiped out or canceled from the bank. If you do that, then normally you reduce your net operating loss. We just don't know how many years he used that or didn't use that, right? Because he didn't lose. He didn't have cash, probably. He financed that loss. So if you finance the loss and then you go and you get forgiven the debt, well, you got to reduce the loss.
So,
So we don't know.
take it out of Donald Trump. Let's just talk hypothetically.
Okay.
If somebody comes to you or somebody wants to buy a building and the building's
Yeah.
$1 million and they
Yeah.
finance 99% of it, and the building goes belly up, that
Right.
person can then take $1 million as a
No.
loss.
No, but let's say over the years he generated losses in terms of. Let's say this. Let's say he did there was problems with the building. He went to sell it, and he only got $600,000 for it. He's got a $400,000 loss. Well, he still owes the debt. So I got a $400,000 loss. Let's say that's the only income I had on my return. Well, I'm going to generate a net operating loss. But let's say the following year, that $400,000, I go to the bank and said, "Oh, come on, I can't pay this back. Let's wipe off $300." Well, $300's income, and there's a way to not pay the income tax on that and just reduce the NOL from 400 to 100. So a lot of people who use a lot of debt then go back to the banks like they did after '08, McGraw, because there was a lot of people in '08 that couldn't pay the banks back.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this cancellation of debt came home to roost. And if they had losses, they can't double dip. Now, back in the day, Trump might have been able to double dip with his Gitlitz case, but we just don't know.
And you're saying, Doug Miller of Miller Probst, that this loophole that he used in 1995 doesn't exist anymore.
The Gitlitz case is closed. If he used it, they finally wised up. The IRS got caught on real quick and said, "Hey, people are getting a double benefit here. This isn't right," and it wasn't right. So that got changed.
Would you like to see a flatter tax code?
Oh, McGraw, I always tell people don't shoot the messenger.
Right.
The tax law is so complicated. We just had a set of rules last year that actually is going to make claiming depreciation on used buildings even more favorable to real estate. I don't know, a lot of people know that's out there. But it is getting awfully hard for most people to even comprehend. People are shaking their heads. We can make this a lot easier, McGraw. The challenge is until you take the income tax system out of the political process, I don't think it'll ever happen.
Last thing for you, Doug Miller. If I ever run for president and the New York Times wants you to verify my $1 billion losses, you are not allowed to acknowledge that's my true tax return.
I'll do my best Sergeant Schultz routine.
I know nothing.
Doug, thank you for your friendship over the years, and thank you for your insights.
Thanks, McGraw. Have a great day.
You got it. Doug Miller, one of the best with Miller Probst, and he's in town. He's been my tax accountant since I got to town, since